Hey, welcome to the guide. I'm Yo, that's Steve-O, and here's our follow-up for Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yes.
Reckoning, a new game from EA and Big Huge Studios. Standard RPG type stuff. We talked about the demo. We both played the demo, and it was kind of interesting because I was not impressed, and you were pretty stoked on it.
Yeah, I thought it was exciting. A lot of the things. It had elements of Fable 3. It had elements of pretty much any and every awesome RPG over the last decade. Thank you, Dragon Age 2, and you know. And so I loved it because it had all of the things that I loved from all these other games rolled into one, and the questing was fun. Yeah, the demo, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
And I didn't think it was that great because I thought it was so homogenous that it was actually kind of bland. And then I started playing the full game. It's kind of interesting because early on, I still had the same impression, like, okay, yeah, I get it, not that great. But as I got further and further into the game, I started to realize I didn't want to stop playing.
Yeah.
And there was one key reason for that. The combat was so much fun.
Yeah.
The combat in this game is absolutely amazing. You can easily go from a ranged attack and then move in and do like a spell or a magic attack and then pull out this big huge honking sword, do a melee attack, and then just like mix it up however you want.
Yeah.
And it was also kind of cool because the enemies that you fight, some of them are resistant to certain types of attacks.
Right.
So you have to pay attention to how much damage you're doing and then switch up your attacks accordingly. Like, oh, well, they don't react well to that, I'll try this. Yeah. And so you had to constantly adjust your tactics depending on who you're fighting. And then you have all these different weapons that you can get. You can get all kinds of cool weapons and different types of magic staffs that give you abilities to do different things with your magic abilities. And there's just so much variety.
Yeah.
And the fluidity of the combat, it was really cool. And so I realized I really liked it. Like, I was having a lot of fun with it. It does a lot of things well, but nothing truly memorable except for the combat.
Yeah, and for me, it's funny, I had the opposite reaction. I loved the demo, couldn't wait to pop open the game, got it, played for a few hours, and was bored to tears. The combat system is great, but it doesn't feel like an RPG to me. It feels more like just an action-adventure game, you know, like a God of War type, you know, game where, you can level, but it didn't seem like there were classes that really mattered. Like you said, you can switch from sword to magic to ranged at any given time, so there were no real classes per se, you know, you kind of jack of all trades, really.
You did have the freedom to kind of focus on what you wanted.
You could,
And the cool thing is if you started to focus on something, like you tried to be a mage, more of a mage, you focus on that. If you didn't like that, you could reset everything and then level up something different and then redistribute the points. I like that you have the option, despite leveling a bunch of stuff, it's not working for me. Start over and redistribute. So that was cool to have that freedom. But I agree, you don't have a distinct class for anything.
Yeah, it's not really, you know, with like a World of Warcraft or something like that, whatever class you pick, I mean, that's what you're kind of stuck with. You've got the talent trees, and you can change those up a little, but this one, it's magic, or I'm going to throw out my bow and arrow.
You just do it all at once.
Yeah, kind of a jumbled mess of awesome. So it works great for an action-adventure game. As an RPG, there's kind of lacking as far as that goes for me, and so I found myself bored very quickly, skipping through all of the talking from questing. Okay, let's go kill these guys. Let's go back here, and just over and over and over that I found myself not caring about continuing because I've done this 1,000 times.
You know, the whole Fate Weaver aspect of it, you know, kind of got me thinking about, there's a lot of people who want to figure out what their fate is. Can I shape my own fate? Is my fate predetermined? You know, you read through the Bible, and actually the answer is yes to both. Your fate is predetermined, and you can weave your own fate. Our fate is predetermined in that all of us are either going to heaven or hell. That's predetermined. However, what we ultimately end up as our fate is entirely up to us.
Yeah.
Which wasn't always the case until Jesus Christ came along, and then he opened up options for you. Like, hey, now you have a choice.
You got a talent tree.
You got a talent tree. And so, and the other interesting thing about that is in the game they talk about, well, he who shapes fate will have an impact on everyone around them.
Right.
Well, that's the same with us. When we choose what our fate is, be it heaven or hell, is going to have an effect on the people around us.
Absolutely.
We are a fate weaver of sorts.
Yeah.
No matter what we choose. Hopefully you'll choose, life and heaven as opposed to death and hell. It's not a great option.
Well, when you present it like that.
Yeah. Well, that's the way Moses presented it. I mean,
there it is.
That's what he said. So anyway, I like that I kind of got into some of that, especially the consequences of choosing fate.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
But that was a very small part of the game. So, what would you give your time with Amalur after you spent some time with it?
I'd give it a solid 5.5. I will say that if you're looking for a huge open world RPG, stick with Skyrim.
Yeah.
This kind of feels like the Burnout version of an RPG. Very arcade, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Lots of action.
Totally.
Great.
Perfect.
It does everything very well. The presentation, the graphics, the gameplay, everything is done very, very well. It just wasn't what I was looking for. So I'd still give it a solid 5.5, 6, out of 7.
Yeah, I'd give it a 5 out of 7 as well. I mean, the combat is what carries this game, which is very unique for an action RPG.
Yeah.
To have the combat be the standout feature. Usually it's story or characters. And there's a little bit of an identity crisis because the graphics are all bright and colorful and friendly, kind of like Fable. But then there's like some pretty vicious combat and blood and heads getting lopped off. So, and then, the ladies, apparently there's very little clothing available for certain classes of women in this game. While everyone else can find like full armor, they're like, they took all the armor. There's nothing left. This is the best I can do. So, there's some of that goes on in this game. So take the M rating seriously. And those elements bring down the score for me, but I really had a blast. I think it's so funny that you were so stoked on it after the demo. You got the full game, not so much. I didn't care for the demo. Started playing the game, like, this is really cool. Mass Effect 3 wasn't coming out. I'd probably buy this game and finish it, but Mass Effect 3 is the greatest game of all time. And I haven't even played it, I can tell you that. So if you want to read more about Amalur and any games that are coming out, reviews, interviews, updates, previews, all the rest, trailers, we got all that going on at our website.
GameAndMovieGuide.com or, of course, Facebook.com/GameAndMovieGuide.
You can also find us on Google+.